First item to go is the Economic Development Committee budget review. Jeff, Karen are here.
Yes.
Anything pretty flat?
Pretty flat. I think we had a slight reduction.
Yeah.
Very slight.
$34.
$34. We weren't gonna be greedy and just try and go up, so we
Yeah.
reduced.
Does anybody have any questions or any selectmen or anything? You have any other than this? I want to commend you on the fine turnout the other day.
Excellent.
Thank you, I'm glad it worked out. Would this be an opportunity for me to just
Please,
explain
yep.
what the Economic Development
Yes.
Committee has been doing?
Yeah.
Okay. You know, the mandate of the Economic Development Committee is to help the town retain and attract new businesses and real estate development. And that's what we've gone to the world with. We've been challenged over the past now 18 months or almost 2 years with this whole COVID thing. But what we've still been doing is pushing forward to try and make Newington, to try to help bolster its otherwise failing tax revenue because of the whole energy problem of the power plants losing value and also the mall. So we've been working on that over the past, well, actually since the inception of the group. We, this last year, had a 3-part series to help educate folks in town how the reduction of values at the power plants and then also with the mall will impact the tax rate. So that was a good representation of folks in the real estate business and how that would all play out and what it would do to the tax rate. So we had a 3-part session on that. And that was to educate the town as to what the various options are and how they all might work. We met at the mall and further communicated with representatives of Fox Run Mall and did extensive research to track down the owners of each of the 5 parcels that make up the mall and the 4 anchor tenants, each owning their own building, and then the establishing dialogue also with Newington Park ownership. And the commercial real estate broker that had led to what's now the new owner of the Newington Park property. They're major properties within the community and within our economic base, our tax base, and so it would be good for us to have a good relationship with them, and that's what we've endeavored to do. We were most recently able to host a business appreciation event that occurred, I want to say it was last week. We had invited almost every business that we could track down, including business owners and or their representatives. We had about 50 attendees, and we thanked and congratulated all in attendance for making it through COVID, for staying in Newington, and to consider any kind of expansion or staying in Newington going forward. It worked out very well, as a few of the selectmen attended. Unfortunately, some of the other boards couldn't make it that evening, but you know, we had a good turnout and good conversations with all of the owners. We had interaction with Wilcox Service Credit Union, the mall ownership, the new ownership of Newington Park. Also conversations were started based on the event with the owner of the Thermo Fisher building. McGovern Subaru was in attendance, Planet Fitness ownership we also talked with. Mark Phillips, Bernie and Phil's, Crumble, which are some food providers at the mall, Seacoast Cars and Coffee, Atco and Air, Shaftmaster Lobster Company, I'm sorry, yeah. The building contractor that built the Aldi's for us, and I'm sure that I'm missing some. Karen may know them, but, and Mike may want to comment once I shut up here.
Doing great, keep it up.
So some of the other good stuff that came out of that economic development conversations that were started was one of the folks is interested in hearing more about the overlay district for the Thermo Fisher building and some of the other properties that would encompass. compass. So that conversation is underway now. It's all early on, so there's really nothing to report other than just some initial inquiries, but they're very interested in finding out more about that. The EDC and the planning board have met, and with the goal of better alignment and collaboration. That was one of our stated goals last year, and then we've kind of followed up on that. The meeting occurred recently. It was delayed due to concerns of COVID and doing live meetings or Zoom meetings, and so we finally got that together about, I'd say maybe a month ago or so. The good news is we heard from the planning board that we should have some, anytime we get a proposal or an offering, we should run it by them and see what their comments and thoughts are. So that was good to have that new collaboration started. While at the planning board meeting, we were able to discuss the possible use of a statewide RSA, which provides tax incentive to encourage targeted non-residential development in town. And what this would be is new commercial office and industrial facilities to increase the town's tax base. The pros and cons of this complex initiative are being aired by the committee to develop information from which the Board of Selectmen can make a decision whether to go forward and present it to the voters at the town meeting. Other communities have experience with it, with the incentive and initiative, and the EDC is prepared to sponsor an open forum where the initiative can be further explained to the town residents. This is directly aligned with our mandate of trying to bring forward possible tools that could help enhance the long-term values of commercial property in town. We also had added some information and nuances to the town website, which was one of the things in our budget, and that was provided to help just people coming in. When I say people, commercial entities and interests, being able to see the website and see the town districts and all of that. Also, we were helpful and tried to foster the further explanation of the way the crime statistics show up on the town website, because Newington looks like a war zone when you see all of the crime that's reported.
Yeah.
Most of it is just
Good
shoplifting at a mall.
Very good.
So it was fortunate that we were able to work with the police and put together a cleaned up, or at least hopefully put an explanation in there as to why it looks like a war zone when in fact we all know it's not. With the help of Karen Anderson and the Board of Selectmen, we put together the business appreciation events and notifications and outreach. That's been nice with, for instance, Rockingham Electric and Custom Pools. They've become fabric of the town. The EDC has 4 issues of the business newsletter in Newington community, and it just further enhances and cements our relationship, hopefully, with those folks, with those business entities. We have asked the Board of Selectmen in supporting the Department of Ports and Harbors to help get $25 million of dredging support in November of 21, and that looks promising and should hopefully keep moving there. It will allow better use of our port facilities. Again, that's another thing that we've been trying to push forward. We're interacting with other economic development committee associations or committees with other towns in the Seacoast area. So we're trying to further that so that we all collaborate. And the EDC has taken lead positioning to put Newington and enable them to fully participate and take part in the federal economic development programs in cooperation with the Board of Selectmen. And we've recently taken part in a letter regarding the Gulf of Maine project, the wind project out there, and we're helping. Karen knows more about that, and Mike as well. So with that, I will possibly see if Mike or Karen want to add anything to what I just summarized. I tried to go fast.
We just exist at the pleasure of the selectmen. I mean, we're a volunteer body that, you know, we'll do this stuff as long as you want us to do it.
I think it's a great outreach to the town. I mean, you've had good results in contacting the businesses and working with the business. And trying to get new businesses, and it's been a tough year, 2 years, year and a half, but congratulations. Any questions?
Well, I think they've done an outstanding job considering COVID shut down just the whole country, and you guys are still showing some activity. I was surprised to see how much activity was at that facility, that function you had the other day, and the turnout was amazing to me, because the first one we had quite as many people, and whereas been COVID been concerning everybody's thoughts. And I had a good time talking to all the different individual companies, and they were all pleased that the town itself is showing some enthusiasm to them, so they feel comfortable being in our town. And then, you know, if there's a problem we can resolve instead of going through the hoops, it's easy for everybody. And I just think it's a fantastic thing. Thank you for your participation, Jeff, it's excellent. Mike, Karen, and the committee should be commended, you've done an outstanding job, thank you.
Yeah, we put some money in, we shifted money from the event account, to get a few extra hours for next year for Karen, because we're gonna bump up against the full money this year, and she had a broken leg for a couple of months, so.
Didn't slow down.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't slow it down at
I
all.
think she slowed down writing up the hours and getting paid for them, but I don't think she slowed down in doing the work. But we envision with the, if things get going at all with this collaborative grant that we just worked with you, you on the letter, that if anything comes of that, we'll definitely need a little bit more of her time to make sure that we have visibility in that at all times, because the end result could be a project that would use the former Eversource property, and in the larger one, or Granite State Power being repurposed. So these are big things that we need to, you know, if they're considering things like this, we need to be sure that Newington is forefront on the table.
Exactly. I also,
Because they tend to forget about us. It's the Port of Portsmouth, and you know,
and we are the Port of New Hampshire now, and also.
we're half of it anyway.
Yeah, I'm very pleased that the planning board and the economic committee got together. I think it's gonna be the two of you working together to make projects go forward. New companies coming in or whatever may wanna come in and develop. It runs it through a little easier with two boards using their heads together, I think, so I commend you again on that. So the same with Dennis. Thank you, Dennis.
One of the selling points we actually have when we you know, get the opportunity to sit down with any of the industries is the capacity that the planning board has to be able to deal with these large projects. They've demonstrated that over the years. The way they handled C3 was exemplary.
Right.
And it was in the face of, you know, third parties coming into the community attempting to, you know, dictate some of the terms of the project or stop it completely. And it really helps us when we can say, and we of course have that on the website as well, that, you know, Newington has a small, regardless of whether it's a small town or a big town, we have a huge amount of experience in dealing with major industrial activities. That's a plus.
Any questions, Diane? Thank you very much for the presentation and everything, and we'll pass this on. We don't make decisions here, we sit down
Yes.
next with the budget committee and.
Yeah, and if you get any feedback, you know, we'll
We
sit
will
down and
find
put our
out.
heads together.
We
But we won't cut Karen back, I can tell you that.
So we're not gonna walk out of here with a stack of cash?
When you got it, not in this room, the other room.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jeff.
Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Thanks, Karen.
Karen, you're looking better, kid.
I am. There's no crutch here.
Mike, take care.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks.
You're looking for punishment.
I know.
You don't have to tell him, Mike. Right, the next on the agenda is the planning board, 5 minutes early, but we can either, I don't know who else you have coming, Dennis, are you alone?
This is it.
This is it?
Usually on the show.
come aboard now, or do you wanna wait?
No, this is it,
This is it,
this is it.
go for
It's
it, man.
pretty simple, I'm not gonna go over all the projects or, you know, how wonderful and great we are. I think we've established a master plan and our ordinances that attract businesses over the years, and have continued to do so, and I'll just say that really quickly. We're holding the line on our budget, and we moved some things around a little bit, a few dollars here or there, and because I expect, for example, legal or engineering to go up this coming year. I think the industry is gonna be picking up a lot, as well as developments. We have 2 developments going on right now, housing developments, never had that before at the same time, and one of them's the largest we've ever had. So it's getting quite complex. One of them has a bridge, which we've never dealt with. We have no ordinances for bridges, but it does include a bridge.
And not to change it, didn't you do a bridge down on Hudson Farm Lane?
Nope. There was a private bridge that was owned by Mark
Okay, all
Phillips.
right, I know there's one on the road, that's why
Well, that's not on the road, it's actually on his driveway.
okay, all right.
And he
yeah.
happened to come across the material for free, so he built the bridge. It's one of his projects. So, anyway, so he asked us to hold the line, we held the line. It's a crapshoot every year as to what we expect is gonna happen. And we pretty much always, I think there was one year we did blow it, years ago, but it was something that was really unforeseen. But most of that money comes back to the board, through, proposals, the developers who are proposing the project. So legal fees, engineering fees, and even a big part of the planner's fees that are charged to the developer. So that's pretty much it. There's something that I did wanna mention to you that, working with the RPC, have been working on now for about the last month, something called a Blue Economy Grant. And they want us I'm trying to get into more understanding of that Blue Economy Grant, but it's for seacoast, specific seacoast projects for developing the economy in that blue economy for good paying jobs. But what I wanna find out is, what do we sign up for when we say, yeah, we support that project?
Yeah.
Or this granting process, but, I wanna make sure it's like, well, you gotta give up your right arm to get paid this extra money. So I just wanted to make sure that, what the details are for that. So, more to come, but they would like a letter of support from us, and I guess you're hearing something, I just heard something tonight that Jeff was talking about. I don't think
Yeah, we
it's-
already put a letter in for the board.
what's grant you're going for though? What is it?
The Blue Economy, it's a letter of support for starters right now.
Oh, we didn't know about it. Didn't let the planning board know.
Well, the Economic Development Committee has been tracking it. It's part of the governor's initiative, and
Oh.
certainly we could talk about it further
Oh,
at
really?
a future
Okay.
meeting, or,
Cause I've been talking, I just found out from the RPC about less than a month ago.
you
Maybe,
know.
maybe we could have a meeting with the planning board, the economic committee, and us, at a future meeting, so we all can understand what we're talking about. You all right with that, Dennis?
I'm just a little bit annoyed that no one told us anything about it, but that's all right. It's all right, let's move on with the budget for tonight, I think that's what we're focusing on. So, is there any questions for the budget itself? I could.
I had a question at the end, and this is just encumbrances. Do we encumber money?
Well, that was a question that I had because
No,
I asked for this year's budget to show me, and on this year's budget, it showed $10,000 at the bottom encumbered from the previous year, and we don't have any encumbered money.
No, that's what I thought, okay.
So,
I talked to Dennis about that after
Okay.
we'd already put the budget in your books,
Okay.
but.
but this came from Cheryl, and what makes me think is that there's $10,000 sitting there encumbered.
There is not, the board did not vote for it, there is no.
So the typo maybe?
It's possible, I can check on that.
Yeah,
Thank you, Carol.
just clarification.
Yeah.
Yeah, clarification,
Good,
we all right on that.
good. And,
That was good, Dennis.
any questions by anybody?
No. I just one question, how do we make out with CIP?
John's working it, and we just need the last respondents are from the selectmen. We're waiting for a response from you on what projects you may have.
Okay,
I guess Martha's been extremely busy,
yes.
so I really get
The
that.
last, and I'm sorry, the last piece is just the fire department fire station addition, and my understanding from the board was we were going to put 300,000 per year, or?
Well,
was there some-
we'd like to, but it's all depending on, me personally, I don't save money when I have a lot of bills to pay, and if we're talking about, taxes going up even slightly, I can't see putting money aside when we're raising taxes. In good years, we'll put money away, and it's our intentions to put money away for the fire station.
Absolutely.
But, I wanna see the total numbers first, and I wanna make sure we have money before we put money away.
I concur with that.
So I won't put anything in this year to the CIP.
Okay.
Okay.
One of the things you can do is when, I know the malls may or may not be rebuilt, but at some point they will be. And there's gonna be large projects there, and that probably could add to offsetting some of those costs. So whatever those projects would wind up being, I don't see it being, purely commercial like it is now, but I also see it probably with some manufacturing, probably some outlying buildings. They've made commitment to a planner that they're not gonna be doing mixed use. They wanna do other things out there, and that's all we know as of right now. And I think that's hit the paper, and you've all seen that, so. But anytime you have a huge growth, there's usually, there can be off-site improvements, including, but you gotta have the CIP done.
Oh, absolutely.
So getting the projects and getting the CIP taken care of would be a good thing to get done.
Great.
Okay, and we are encumbering, this year to next year, from this year's money, I think it's $6,000, and that's for John Krebs' project for the CIP. But that's not last year's money, that should be zero, and that should not be 10,000. And Martha called me, and I said, no, I think it's a mistake.
Anything else, any
No.
questions? Dennis?
Thanks for holding the line.
I'm just, well,
Appreciate it.
it's one of those things, if you blow the line, you blow the line, you can't do anything about it, you know what I mean? You don't know it's coming at you.
Believe me, we know all about that.
The only thing I can predict is there's gonna, taxes and the cost for our employees. I know what that is, but everything else is, we don't know.
Thanks.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
I'm just gonna sit around and eat some
Sure,
popcorn.
enjoy. Next, we have the police commission. The only one here is the commissioner. Where the hell's the Indians? Chief, where's the Indians?
You should be here, what, 15 minutes early?
Yeah, we're running early, but that's all right.
Dennis, I was just telling Ann, my daughter-in-law made apple butter out of some of your apples. Not
Oh, cool.
all, they were all your apples.
Apple butter. I've heard of it, but no, how do you make apple?
Remember that person that made it for us? You reduce it down
Yeah.
and it spreads, okay.
So they went to very good use.
It's a southern thing.
I'm glad to hear that, because it's, I have a ton of
So
apples.
remember somebody made it for us, they made it in the proper way?
I do.
Okay,
I got, in my legal budget this year, I was gonna add $5,000 to the engineering budget, or split it between legal and engineering. I just threw it all into legal and had it there, but if we have to, we can shift it from one to the other. So, we should be fine there.
How's things with, while we're talking, how's things with the coast?
Coast bus?
Yeah.
They wanna build a new facility, and I'm glad you asked, I did wanna bring that up tonight. They're putting in for a grant for a brand new facility,
Okay.
and it's gonna be somewhere between 5 and 9 million, I
Right.
heard. It's quite expensive.
They got a site picked out yet?
They've got, they do,
Okay.
it's gonna be the same site they have, and they want a storage facility for all their buses.
Yeah.
They're going for a grant, but there's gonna be a small portion for matching contributions in the neighborhood of $1 million, don't quote me on this, that the communities are going to step up, and that's the part that is just coming forward. And I'm not sure what that looks like for any of the towns, if they're gonna be requiring that for the towns, or what they're doing, but I've talked to Rad, and I said, right now, there's a lot of things going on, and you're going out there looking for this, all this free stuff to go, you know, to get built, but it's not free for us.
Right.
So, and it's a hard time for, in particular Newington, some towns, maybe they're not doing so bad. We're not doing terribly bad, but we're starting to see things drop in assessed value. So, if you can come in and you want another, I'll just say, another 100,000, please don't quote me on that. If they say they want another 100,000, it's gonna be a hard, plus the regular fees,
Right,
that's gonna be a
Tough
really tough pill to swallow.
yeah, tough sale.
So,
Well, I
that's
got
it.
wind that they were looking to do something like that, that's why I had to ask you, I know you were up on the bus committee there. I remember years ago when you didn't want the bus and we kinda converted you.
I didn't want it.
Don't you remember? Okay,
I don't think that was me.
that was a long time ago now.
It's a, public transit is it's a tough one because most people don't wanna use it, most people don't use it, and it's mostly for those people who can't afford their own vehicles or can't drive.
Right.
That's what it's for. It's not a, and they're not there to make any money. They said they'll never make money. I tried bringing that up and said, well, why couldn't we start looking at ways of finding revenues? And as soon as you start doing that, the grants go away.
Yeah.
And they're not willing to get off of that.
No.
They like that too much.
No, the government also, they can take that money as long as they can.
So it's, I have a friend who found a bear in his backyard. Thing was, he set up a camera, he was wondering what was eating his pears. And it's a great big old black bear, and it's a big one.
What town?
Out by, in Epping.
Epping?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, they got black bears.
And it almost looks like the bear was, I got a picture if anyone wants to see it, it almost looks like the bear was posing for the camera.
Not camera shy, huh?
No, bears like their apples.
My son in Epping had a suet feeder,
Oh, jeez.
and that bear opened that suet feeder like he was ripping open a M&M packet,
Yeah.
and just destroyed it.
You ever see those wrought iron bird feeders, the hangers?
Yeah.
The ones that, I had mine, it was literally bent right down, and it was just about that far from it was like a pretzel, it was like nothing.
Have you seen a coyote running at all through Fink's Field or near you? We've got a big one over near us.
I've heard him, I haven't seen him.
Oh, okay.
We've heard him howling at night.
Right, yeah.
Oh, okay,
Oh.
okay. He's more brown than gray. When I first saw him a few days ago, I thought somebody's dog got out. There's no dog that looks like that around our neighborhood. And I took a good look, and that's what it was.
Yeah, I feel for all these folks that, you know, go around and pin up the picture of, you know, their fluffy cat that got out last night. And I know they're putting up the picture because it's all they can do.
Right.
In my heart, I just wanna call them up and say, your cat was supper last night.
Oh, well, about 5 or 6 years ago, we lost 3 cats from our neighborhood, 5, 6, 7 years ago. Yeah, and I'm sure that was the reason. Now, that coyote was gray, very big and gray versus the brownish type.
There used to be a kid that, I think he worked for Joe Mitchell for years, and he hunted coyotes over on that Smith farm and right on the Greenland line.
Yeah.
And he was successful every year. But I don't know if he's still doing it or,
Yeah. I didn't know you could hunt them.
that seemed to keep the population in check, but
There's no closed season though, is there?
I think you can hunt them year round, if you so take.
You can.
Can I ask you a question? When are the selectmen gonna be going over, when's the meeting gonna occur, public meeting gonna occur when you go over all the budgets together? Do you know when that's gonna happen?
You know, you don't have a specific date yet.
No, but the three of you have a public meeting to go over all the budgets, right? And you have your discussion about it?
Right, in
Yeah.
November.
Just don't know what date
We
yet.
haven't established the date yet. Make sure we do that.
I'm sure we get all the information in time, what date it is, that's why I'm waiting.
Yeah, I think part of that, Dennis, was my schedule, we were planning on Southwest Airlines. From what Brenda and I talked
Good
about
luck for
it.
you, to you.
Yeah, good luck with this, right?
I think we're gonna forego the, waiting in line at the airport experience and,
Instead of a weekend, maybe a month trip.
Get to Colorado, now we get out of there.
So Ted, you said you already signed the letter for the Blue Economy Grant? What are all the,
I don't have it here to look at it now.
no, but what are all the, we got a few minutes, we're waiting, what are all the nuances that go along with it, like do you have to do certain things, or is it certain industry, what is it you're looking at, what are the details?
Well, people wanted to speak to you about that later. Maybe another meeting, could that work? I don't have everything in front of me, I wasn't prepared to speak to
Yeah,
it
no,
tonight.
that's-
Well, we're just carrying on kind of general
Just-
conversation now, I'm just trying to get
Get our foot in the door that we're interested in. We've had people attending for the last year or two on governors meetings
Yeah.
on this stuff. And that, so an opportunity to put knowing you get a wedge in the door. Okay, we got another 10 minutes, 5 minutes?
So all the apples are all picked off the trees down there, or, no? I haven't seen any deer since your apples became nice and fruitful.
They come visit my house every night.
I'm sure.
At Bob's house, you know, we had a herd up there last night.
oh, did we?
Oh, 3.
Yeah, there's several different groups of deer in town.
Yeah.
Ton of deer in town,
There's a lot, yeah, groups, there's a lot of deer.
too many.
I'll tell you what, I mean, my wife's in the back, we never pick up apples off the, it's rare when we pick up apples.
I know.
Usually if you mow them and cut them in half, they'll
They'll
eat right the
look
next
better.
day.
Sure, it's like pulverizing them for them, sure.
Well, I noticed when I cut my lawn, they show up in hordes that night. Like, as soon as the lawnmower shut off, usually I cut it in the late afternoon, they're there. Sometimes they don't even wait for me to get off the lawn, they're out there. And the reason is they can bite the apples in
Yeah.
smaller pieces, you know.
Good evening.
No, remain seated. Thank you. Thank you for waiting.
You go right
Well,
ahead.
we're gonna get up and clap just because you showed up.
How come you're so late?
I'm early.
It's a matter of opinion. Who else you got coming, chief?
I'm sorry?
Who else do you have coming?
Bill's just walking in behind me, I believe. And everybody remembers Taylor?
Yes.
Taylor,
Yes.
hi Taylor, good to see you.
Good to see you.
Bill.
Hi, Bill.
Chief, whenever you're ready, we're ready.
Okay, well, what do you want to go over first?
You're in the driver's seat.
All right, we can go over the proposed increases for the operation budget. I also included the salary line item in that. If you noticed on the changes to the 22 operating budget, I printed out a sheet, separate sheet.
Let's get on the right page. You got a lot of pages here.
All right, if you guys, I provided this for you,
Yep.
for a breakdown of everything.
Proposed,
Yep.
changes to the budget, operating budget?
Yeah, these are all the changes in our budget this year.
Yeah.
So for full-time staff, the change is gonna be from 810 to 798,636.80. It's gonna be a difference of 11,000. But the COLA is not increased in that, and one of the changes is because we did have a retirement this year. Longevity pay is gonna be, -500. We have one officer that's gonna have 10 years on, and that's per, town policy. PD uniforms, and I may be looking for guidance on this one. You see an increase of 13,000. That's because we have 9 officers that our vests need to be updated. It's every 5 years, and this is gonna be 5 years this February for me. And we got them in May. There is a federal vest grant out there that I applied for when I first got here for it. So depending on what we get, that could be decreased. So that will increase that line item, like I said, by 13,000, and that's a one-time shot. Yeah, every 5 years. They got a lifespan.
Is it because you gain weight, or is it because of the size? They wear out.
It's the stress of the job. Is this being videotaped? Perfect. That's for the lawsuit of over and overweight. Communications. So we had an issue, and I've talked to the other departments, town hall and the fire department, regarding VoIP, the voice over internet protocol system. This year, 2 separate occasions, we lost our phone lines. One was down, and Taylor, correct me if I was wrong, 3 or 4 days?
3 days.
3 days, and the other one was a couple of days. And we had no idea they were down. This was over the weekend. We had a couple of younger officers working. They're out on the road. They didn't realize if we missed any calls whatsoever. Now, our phone line is connected to dispatch when you go down the phone tree. And if the phone's not obviously operational, no calls were going. So we don't know if we missed any emergency phone calls whatsoever. I find that extremely troubling. The company that we currently use had to hire another company to come in and fix the issue. Our phone lines, they're outdated, extremely outdated. So this is the new phone line, and this will be replacing 11 phones, which will also include the EOC. Communications, that's an increase of $450. Prior to me coming here in 2017, we dropped the contract, and I'm not sure why, with two-way. And the contract with two-way was to update any radio, any different channels on the radios, and maintain any type of equipment faults or help to replace. We found the issue this year was with the air show. The problem is we needed a certain channel to be able to communicate with all the other agencies working it. We didn't have that channel. So we quickly went over to two-way to upgrade it, and we were advised that was an $1,100 upgrade. We were able to get it for $300, and come to find out the state did have a grant that we were able to apply for to cover the charges for that this year. But if we had this $450 annual fee, we would have been all set. We wouldn't have to work with it.
That's two-way communication fee?
Yeah.
Where are they located at?
They're on keys.
On Pease?
Yes.
I know they will, thank you.
So if you go to the second page of that list that I provided, we have a $1,600 increase reflects cybersecurity program, which is LionGuard, and that's currently with Daystar, our computer program. That's a one-time fee. That's for setting everything up. And then I believe, after this year, it would be $100 annual?
Yes.
So-
That's a setup fee, you're saying?
Yeah. Obviously, cybersecurity is a big topic nowadays for
And every
municipalities.
year you'll have a certain fee? You have a contract type of fee, or?
Yeah, we'll have a contract, but it won't be $1,600.
Right.
The next line is the police commission awards and support. So our gratitude definitely goes out to the fire department and the board of fire engineers for this one. Annually, we kept $100 in that, and last year we didn't. with the fire department and the fire engineers helped us this year was during the air show. Officers were working long hours out on the street, and the fire department provided food and the ability to deliver food, so thank you guys very much for that. So I wanted to put in $250 just in case we have situations like that arouse, whether it's an emergency situation or a planned event. At least we have some type of backup from the police commission to support us wherever we need. And I think $250 is a good amount for that.
Is that be sufficient?
I think it will be. Unless you want to add more, I can. So this was a hard hit, vehicle fuel cost this year. This reflects the fuel cost estimated at $3.20. Last year we consumed 9,400 gallons. Actually, that's within the last couple of years. I did an estimate between 2 years. 9,400 gallons of fuel. We do have a WEX account, and that price is at $2.90 without taxes. I definitely have to confirm with WEX regarding that $2.90 price, but that's a conservative price at $3.20. I guess the state is estimating that it could be $3.30, $3.40. So that's an increase of $9,000.
Where do you buy your gas?
Any gas station that, from Mitchell's to Cumberland Farms and the one and Mobile down there, whichever the prices we see. Mitchell's is open 24 hours for us, so is in Cumberland Farms. Mobile's the only one that closes down.
Thank you.
Firearms, that was an increase because this year we had to go for a range. We had, for years, we had the use of the SIG facilities because one of our employees worked there, Mike Sullivan, he retired. So now we had to find a range. So this was the cheapest rate we were able to get is $1,500 annually at Renaissance. We did an evaluation of 3 different ranges, and that was the best one that we came up with. I'm also currently working with the Fish and Game Club in Greenland to see what they can offer for either training or remedial training, or if we could get there annually, that would be great.
I mean, somebody like SIG who sell guns to the police departments, doesn't it give you a special access, a fee?
They do give a special fee, but it's a high fee. If I recall, it was either $2,000 or $2,400.
Thank you.
Training has increased by $2,000. This is so we can follow the governor's order on the Commission on Law Enforcement Accountability, Community, and Transparency. That came out last year. So depending on what we do for training, that's increased by 8 hours. Last year it was 6. We were able to do a program with another company to get the classes that we needed, and they fit the academy agreed to accept these trainings. I'm not sure if they will next year, so I put that extra $2,000 just in case we needed some professional to come in to train the officers. It's just an added cushion as we go, just in case. Training equipment went down $1,500. We want to maintain $1,000 in that account for the gym equipment for replacement or repair. And again, what's not reflected in here is the increases in health insurance, FICA, and all that, until we get the numbers.
You guys don't use equipment with a fire station?
We don't have any.
We don't have anything here.
Well, that's it, fire equipment, fire gym equipment, no?
The fire department?
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Any questions, anything you wish to add, Chief?
Going through the line items now?
Each line item? Well, those were the
Yep.
those were the ones that are effect, so if you want to go down.
Well, I quickly, if I may, Mr. Chairman, I quickly reviewed it, you got $158,037 increase over last year.
much money did you say?
I got $158,037. You take the 1,844,227, you take off the 1,828,990, and it's 158,37 difference in 2 years.
I failed to add, I think you have the capital outlay in that one with the $53,000 for the cruiser.
Okay. And that's what the question, all right.
And that's an estimated cost because we don't have
Right.
the state bids at this time,
I understand,
or whether they're gonna make cruisers.
right.
Could be shipping containers.
So it's still 105,000, okay. We were looking to, we were hoping to have, flat budgets again this year, considering what we're losing with the power plant.
No, I understand that, I absolutely understand it, but we're
I know
looking
you
at,
do, Chief, I understand, I understand, but I understand that you have to have certain things yourself. I was hoping you'd cut a little closer than that.
well, we still have possibilities of, looking at some line items, especially with the gas line item.
Yeah, well, the gas one kind of threw me a little bit, I wasn't sure what your gas cost was gonna be. And I can't say that the
If I
state's
can buy
not,
gas for less than $3, why are you paying $3.20?
right,
I'm estimating that as going up, because the gas prices right now are at $3.11.
Yeah, okay.
And last year when we budgeted at $2.21.
Wow,
right.
that's a big.
Yeah, but you don't have state or federal taxes, you shouldn't be paying that.
Well, with the Wex card, which is tax exempt, is at $2.90 this year. I'm trying to look, I know it's gonna be more than $3.20.
I understand, yeah, it seems high, that's all.
Yeah.
From a layman's perspective.
Yeah, but which one of us in this room is not paying more for gas this year? So I think,
My wife just bought a hybrid, I'm all right.
well, your wife can afford a hybrid. You know, I think that before you dip on your gas budget, I think you should maintain your patrol levels the way you do now, because that directly reflects into our crime rates. So I don't wanna see you reduce your patrol rates at all. And if we have to pay more for gas, we have to pay more for gas.
And a few years back, still being, when I was up in Durham, it was that point where we were reducing patrolling, and you could tell it hurts the community.
Oh, absolutely,
Absolutely.
And that's not why I brought that up, Chief, not to reduce it.
No, I get it.
Okay.
I get it.
Chief, would you mind explaining your Wex card just a little bit, how that works?
So it's a card that we can go to any gas station throughout New England. I think it is, if we need to purchase gas. Not that we're gonna drive to Vermont to get gas. I don't know if it's cheaper up there or Maine, but we can use that card anywhere.
And you get the lower price
Yes.
just by
You get a
using
government
that
rate.
card?
You get a government
Government rate, yeah.
Can they provide an itemization? of the
They
usage?
do. That's how I calculate my fuel consumption.
You got a holiday pay increase too, of, 20.
What line are you on, Mike?
I'm on page 22-1, about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 or 6 down. It says holiday pay, 11 holidays. Okay, is that because you increased an officer? That's what I would say it was.
Yes, that's accounting for a new hire.
Yeah, okay, that's just what I thought it was. Uniforms, there's no anticipation of maybe some input from the officers paying some of their uniforms?
To pay for some of their uniforms?
Mhm.
No.
Okay,
And we can look at that based on, again, the increase is based on the vest this year. I brought this up in 2019 and really didn't get any guidance because I was looking for a reserve account to put this money in.
Right.
I believe it was in front of the budget committee.
Right.
So I didn't get any guidance on that
okay,
aspect. It's in this budget, that's not gonna be, it's not gonna be a yearly thing.
Mhm.
However, looking at possible recommendations, is it something that I should put in a warrant article going forward?
Well, if I may make a suggestion, now that I understand it, maybe you should make a suggestion that you budget it per year, and then when you get to your fifth year that you need to invest, your money will be there.
Well, that was my recommendation in 2019.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, and I didn't get any guidance on it, so this is the fifth year that's come up.
Okay.
So this is 9 officers. I think next year might be 2 officers, and I think then we have a separation with possibly 3 years on that one.
Professional training, you explained, firearms, you explained, telephone, you explained, communications, you explained, equipment contracts, data construction, Central Square, website hosting, that's up a little bit. Did you discuss that one? I don't remember. On page 22-3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 or 6 down, equipment contracts.
I'm sorry, which page are you on?
22-3.
I don't have the same page number. What account number is it?
484.
8484.
484.
Yeah, 484. Sorry, you're on the same page.
This is the cybersecurity
Okay,
that I mentioned.
you did, yeah, thank you. Dues and duplications. Okay, fuel you explained. And the police commission going to 250 for legal. Why is there a legal account in here when the RSA say you can't have one?
I don't have a legal account.
Well, this says here,
Legal if needed.
police commission, legal if needed.
That's the
I think that's
miscellaneous.
an old explanation.
Old
that we
explanation?
should
Yeah.
revise.
Yeah, because we have an agreement with the selectmen that anytime we use legal, we can go for you.
Absolutely.
Right.
And I would not refuse anybody you want, that's fine. Thank you, chief, for answering my questions. I did review your budget.
I appreciate that.
Good job.
Any other questions? Thank you, sir.
I'm not done yet.
Oh,
You are something.
yes, no, he's got the warrant articles.
Well, I got the emergency management
Oh, okay.
budget, if you wanna go over that.
Yep,
So the only increase right now is, 620 EMS supplies, shelter and food and bedding. So this year what we did, and it was a little more expensive than anticipated, but we had $500 in there last year for the food. We're increasing it by 500 to cover the expenses. So what we did in working with EJ and Pat is we got the dry packaged food. Because years ago when we came here, actually EJ, Pat and I were looking at the supplies that we had for the town, and it was spaghetti sauce and spaghetti
all right.
and crackers.
What's wrong with that?
Well, it was expired by 7 years, so,
Oh, it had a date on it.
yeah.
That's
why I
right,
checked the date.
7 years expired,
Yeah.
that's practically brand new to me.
That's right. Hey, that's still good food.
So what we did was we got the dry food, to support the town.
Yeah,
And
understandable, that's
what
good.
what we need is, 240 more meals to support 10% of the town.
Okay,
And this lasts for 30 years, so none of us will be here and none of us will have to worry about
Speak for yourself.
replenishing that.
Ted,
Yeah, well, yeah.
well, I remember we discussed that a while back about the meals, and I think that's a smart move, chief. Thank you.
So that's the increase. Again, we don't have the stipend increases. Again, that's based on the COLA
Right,
for EJ and I, so. So those are, those two budgets. Any questions?
Very good. Thank you, sir.
we're gonna do
The warrant
articles.
warrant articles.
Gonna go to warrant article? Fine. Good, Michael.
$5,000 to replace police department's radio electronic capital reserve fund.
Yeah, so this is the one for electronics with the J1 system that I'm trying to build up to 25,000.
Yeah.
Again, this is an unfunded mandate from the state.
Yeah,
I'm anticipating about 25,000 to refurbish the computers and the cruisers to meet the J1 system.
okay. What about the radio electronics for 25,000 estimated cost? Current balance is 10,000.
Yeah, that's the J1 project.
Okay,
Those two go together.
all right.
That's just the explanation.
$10,000 to place capital reserve fund for, place in-house computer equipment.
Yeah, currently our server is on its last leg. It should be expiring at the end of 2023, 2022. I estimated about 35,000 in that, that's what we were getting at, but, right now we have 10,000 in there. Another 10,000 will get us obviously to the 20,000 mark. If we can get one more year out of it, we're working with Daystar. They keep on updating it and programming it, so.
Yeah, but there's a life expectancy just so long too.
Correct.
Yeah.
So,
But you feel comfortable, you may be able to get another year out of it, or?
again, that's something Daystar has to look at. We may be paying, something for them to extract the information to give it a couple more, maybe one more year.
Okay.
It's just filling up with data at this
All right.
point.
Capital reserve account, replace outdated in-house IT equipment, servers, desktop, computers, laptop, monitors.
And that's part of that was part of the 35.
Okay. Next one down, RSA 3195H. Collective funds of police, the special details. Now, what's the status with this?
So this is something new. We tried it a couple of years ago, and I'm throwing it back out there. This is for the cruisers. Each year I have to we ask the town to support out of capital outlay. This is a total cost from the vendors, because right now our detail fees for the cruisers and the administrative fee goes into the general fund.
Correct.
What I'm trying to do is separate that, so in the aspect of once we build these funds, it's just purchasing a new cruiser when we need a new cruiser or replacement. That way it's no effect on the tax base, it's totally funded by the vendors. We just need a few years to build it up.
Right, I understand that.
Approximately how much you take in a year this way?
I think last year we took in close to $30,000.
So you wouldn't be able to do a cruiser every year on that?
We would not.
How do you think you'd be able to increase that? You gonna hire out your dog or what?
No, so that's that money keeps on going in there, so when we have to use it, so it'll take a couple of years to fund it.
Right.
And once that's funded, because we're looking at the cost, it's not just the cruiser, it's the equipment that
Right.
needs to be placed in the cruiser and everything else like that. So it's again, this year I'm estimating at 53,000 to totally outfit the cruiser.
Yeah.
Times change.
Could be a little less, yeah.
So the other thing we're increasing too is not only the administrative fee for the vendors, but also I think the cruiser maintenance, or maybe just the administrative fee. So there's additional monies. I did the research regarding checking out other towns, and we were kind of low in that aspect, so.
Okay. Well, I noticed that you get some revenues from the city of Portsmouth for policing this PDA over here.
Yeah.
Is there any way you can increase some of that to cover some of this cost, which would benefit the town as well?
Well, the increase we do is every year we kind of do it. Every year we do an increase, and it's based on the salaries and the calls for service over
So
there.
you get more money out of the city of Portsmouth?
There's a format that we follow
Okay.
that was agreed upon back in the 90s.
I would say, yeah.
Yeah, it was back into the 90s, and we actually, just not too long ago, for accreditation, we had to review that
I
contract.
thought you would, yeah.
So, I mean, I'm not jumping into a new contract with the PDA, that's out of my, so,
Okay. And who would oversee these funds?
the treasurer.
Treasury.
Okay. And
How much you get out of the PDA now? Oh,
$44,000 a year?
44? Just a ballpark number.
Yeah,
Thank you.
What do we get out of the mall?
$3,167 a month.
Because we get also paid by the mall too.
Yeah, well, PDA is separate, but they have.
So the mall, they have several contracts. How much
Yeah.
the mall?
$38,000 a year roughly.
What was it, Taylor? I'm sorry.
$38,000 a year roughly.
Thank you.
Then again, that's a contract from the 80s.
Yeah, would that be, those funds be going in this account?
Right now, they go into the general fund.
Well, I'm trying to zero in where you're gonna get, where you're asking for the funds here. I gotta have it clear in my head so I can either support.
The law states for the outside details. The
Oh, the outside
mall's
detail.
not
Right.
considered an
Correct.
outside detail.
And the mall's not an outside detail?
No.
Okay. PDA is an outside detail?
No.
Okay, so you know where I'm coming from, my question then.
And that's under 3195.
So can you give me some idea where these funds, what kind of a detail you would be doing to get the funds from?
No, it's any road detail that we work.
Construction work,
Yeah.
utility work.
Every hour a patrolman works, they bill him out to the
I
company at a
understand.
certain rate, he gets his portion, but then the town gets.
I know I do, yeah, I know that too, Bob, I just wanted him to explain it to me so I could understand it.
Okay.
Okay, so that's, and you, right now, you're roughly about $33,000 a year?
I believe that's what, last year, I'd have to look at my numbers and get back to you.
Okay, just a ballpark, I'm not, not gonna hold you to the number. But I'm a little concerned, because right now the funds go to the general fund, which is the way it was set up originally. Is this interfering with the RSA's in any way for doing this?
How long ago was it, Chief, that this was last put forth to town meeting?
I think 2018. It wasn't brought up to town meeting, it was stopped at the Board of Selectmen.
Correct, we started,
Okay.
right, because we thought that was, the fund should stay in the general fund. I'm just trying to see why you wanna change it now versus the 2018 when we said we didn't do that.
Because of the capital outlay aspect of it. It gets put, we get the cruiser out of the capital outlay. If we get this is funded solely by the vendors.
So you're trying to ease the tax burden on the taxpayer in town, like?
Correct. Each year we go through this step regarding the cruiser, especially, right?
Right.
Not only with the Board of Selectmen, but also the Budget Committee.
Correct.
If there was a separate account that we can pull from specifically, in which RSA 3195 states,
Okay,
is that specific purpose for this.
okay,
Because we're paying for the fuel for the cruisers, and the administration fees are going right into the general fund.
I like
With
it,
a road detail.
I like it because what it does is, when we bill it out to the contractors, we say we're buying these things with this money.
right,
If it goes into a separate account and then we do buy things with this money, it's a clear-cut accounting thing where the accountants can look and say, yeah, they do buy a cruiser, and they do purchase cruiser maintenance, and they do buy fuel for the cruisers out of these funds.
right.
So there could never be any challenge to us as a town, because that fund is set up specifically for that, and that's where the funds go to.
So if we're working a road detail, you got a cruiser,
Mhm.
those funds are attached. If we're working at a business inside not using a cruiser, we don't bill the vendors, it's just the straight fee for the officers overtime.
Okay. All right, I'd like to review the RSA a little bit more myself, but thank you for the input, appreciate it, chief.
Not a problem.
Is that the last one, or is there another one?
Any, Mike?
That's it.
Thank you.
Thank you, chief.
Thank you, commissioners. Gail,
Thank you.
thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Again, I know I said it at the last meeting, but thank you very much for everybody's support for accreditation.
Oh,
Thank you
How's
very
it
much.
going, by the way?
Good. November 19th, we have a meeting with the commissioners. It's kind of like, it's a panel. And we have, I think it's a 10-15 minute thing where we have to discuss all the good things and some of the bad things in the report, but I'm glad to say there was nothing really bad in the report.
Well, I was gonna
It's
say,
just challenges that we see coming into the future
right,
regarding technology and actually
that's part of the process anyway, yeah.
with business in the town too, so.
Now, Chief, some of these upgrades in your computer that you've asked for in your phone system, do they go towards this accreditation?
So not really, but this is one of the things we found a problem with our phone system is communicating outside. As simple as transferring an inside line to an outside line was very difficult. So we were actually using our personal cell phones to communicate because it was.
Why did we get away from two-way communication, Martha? Do you remember what the reason behind that was, or should we talk about, yeah,
Oh, we still use them.
okay, so I wonder why the police don't use them.
No, we used them. We just for some reason 2017, it was before I got here because that was already in the
Right.
budget.
Right.
Was they got rid of their services. I don't know their maintenance services. I don't know why.
Maybe you gotta review that so you get it back on board.
And that's why we put it in.
Thank you, chief.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
Catch you later, thank you.
Thank you. You cleaned the room up quick.
Is that me? No, that's.
No, this thing, would you have an onion sub for supper, Jack? They all
Must be, it's scary. We next time.
Recreation.
all the others
So
will.
rec leader, are you, Jack, or what?
Well, I'm not the leader, but I'll start if we need to.
No, we'll wait for this.
We'll wait.
We're gonna wait, yeah.
No, be uncourteous not to wait.
I don't know how many is coming. I was getting here early.
How's the hand coming?
Yeah, how's the game?
Stitch is out tomorrow.
Good,
Getting a lot more.
getting more
Still
flexibility.
getting tingling and stuff, but yeah.
Oh, Red Sox might need you, Jack. You may get
It
their
only
hands.
could take 5-6 weeks to get the numbness back.
This is good, Ted.
Hold on, Michael.
Get the score on there. That's
You guys happen to watch the last two games, Red Sox?
Well, they were talking about.
7-1 at the bottom of the eighth.
Oh.
Looks like the boys will be headed to Houston.
That's right.
Houston's a lovely city.
Son-in-laws are there.
Sometimes.
The battles will start again.
Just keep him in his place.
That's right.
Different enemy, different day, right?
I used to like Texas until I went out there, but to go to basic training, I wound up sitting on unknowingly, me and a bunch of other people wound up on the red ants.
Oh, yeah. Don't they feel good, Dennis?
It's like a bee, it's like a bee sting.
Yeah.
I was down in Charleston one time, we walked down the weapons station, guy was coming back and decided, wonder what that is, he walked off the pavement onto the dirt. He had hands out, just that quick.
What do you feel like, yeah?
It happened on the obstacle course, you know, you have to go.
Nice.
And there were guys yelling at us, you know, and you're not even paying attention to what's going on, and all of a sudden it was all puncher us. It was not fun.
Texas also had these little ground burrs,
Yeah.
and they would, I was, you know, riding my bike in Goodfellow, and they would stick through the knobbies of the tire, and I was getting flat tires constantly. I took it to a bike shop downtown, and they put that green goop in my tires.
Slime
And, yeah, and he told me,
They'll seal it.
he said it's these ground burrs, they punch
No
through
kidding.
any tire.
Really?
Yeah,
Never heard that one. That's
Yeah.
a new one.
he said they're like little thorn balls, it's the seed off of some,
Boy, it must be awfully hard to punch through a tire.
but as soon as he green slimed them, I was fine.
Yeah, well, we're.
Big green slime.
You know what they do with those
You know,
radios?
they put a liner on the inside of the
Put,
tube,
I don't know,
and then
right,
they
right,
put a green liner inside of the tire, and then the tube,
Okay.
and then they fill the tube with a liquid green slime. Anytime it gets a hole,
That's
it's
pretty cool, I wonder who invented that.
You guys ever get that picture I sent about the old stone school? Remember the old stone school, I sent that, you got that picture, didn't you?
I did to the
Yeah,
board.
it's all lying back there. That's what you get when you have nothing to do, you wander around.
Find something else to do with it, Jack.
Well, I don't wanna feel like a certain person I know, and I used to be up there, but we used to call him his name, last name with Grams afterwards, but I just worry about that because, Sandy Hislop, myself, and Charlie Smart was in there a few years ago. And John Lampson, he was talking about the old days, his mother used to bring his lunch to him when he was in school there. It's pretty interesting.
that on the agenda of what to do with that. We need to probably have a public meeting of what to do with the old stone school.
Well, we had a
I
bond,
think the historical society should go there.
I think so too.
it was interesting, one summer meeting, we had two bonds, one for the old town hall, which got to 2/3, and one for the stone school, which only got half. But you were talking $800,000 back then, because if you open it up, it had to be handicap accessible, you had to put an elevator on the
Yeah.
side, we get some buildings, but it's just, and we used to have the kids program there years ago.
I don't think building's good for anything now, Jack.
What's that?
I don't think building's good for anything at this point.
I've been in there, you know,
There's too many strings attached from the federal government, historic society to do anything.
well, I'm
with
sure
it.
the infos wouldn't want it back, even if we did find hold of it, but what would they do with it?
Let's just call their bluff on it though.
That's it.
Give it back to them.
Yeah, let them
Tell them
hang
they
around
don't
in
want it,
there.
have them get rid of all the restrictions.
Right. That's what we asked them to do.
That's the only way I can take a handle on it.
Yeah.
And we talked about it for many meetings, didn't we, Ted? We talked a lot about it.
You know what I mean?
Well, it was funny, the day we took it back, was me, Cosy, and I think Jan. And, Cosy resigned that day, and we made Billy Beals a selectman, we voted him in that one meeting. Cause he was at the school when they lost it, so he actually got to sign the paperwork to take it back, and then he resigned, almost what caused, he didn't almost put him back on.
So it's all Cause's fault, huh?
Yeah.
You gotta blame him.
Well, I figured-
Because you're on the bus. Oh, your wife walking the dog.
Yep. Dog needs to be walked, or she drives you
Friendly
crazy
dog.
otherwise.
Yeah, we bought sausage. It's pretty good, Brian. Did make it. How much you weigh?
We're not,
Some Becca's coming, but it's just waiting.
I was telling your wife, Bill, that
Early. Yeah, that was.
Mrs. Latchar had a knee done on the fourth time, the same knee, and the doctor that, worked on my wife fixed her knee, now she's set to go.
She's good now?
She's doing very well with it now.
There's a lot of woods out behind it.
I guess it was, the way they do it with the robotic repair, it's so technical and so close.
Precise, yeah.
It's worked well for me, and my wife seems to be doing well with it, she's a little bit not used to the pain still, but she's doing well with it.
It's gotta be tough going back and doing that a second time.
They did it, that was the fourth time,
Yeah, like 4 would be.
wow.
you can't accept it.
I wouldn't think there's anything left of it to do, you know?
I mean, it's, the stairs are all rusted on. This asbestos in it. What's that? 6:15.
Becky gonna come tonight?
She's supposed to be, if you wanna start, or another, I think your schedule says
So wait till,
6:15.
let's, we say quarter after, we're gonna quarter, keep on that.
Okay, no, you will start anyway.
Jack, is that you there, clams out on the backside of Fox Point?
Used to. No clams left out there.
No, they're not.
We got a few out of towners come back 4 or 5 years ago, and boy, they cleaned it up. Before, they would take, bucket loads.
Really?
Well, one year, a sewer pipe broke down in Seabrook, and this fishing game guys,
They shut down.
They don't care.
Yeah.
So, and it's, but they were all parking up there. I finally got, Mike Sullivan chased a bunch of them away.
Hmm.
And then Sean went up one day and found the guy down, "Are you from town?" "No." "Dump him out." But, you gotta, for few and far between now.
Who's the guy that, what does he do, the oyster farm out on the backside there?
Yeah.
There's a farm there.
On that side is the Virgin Oyster Company, and the other side is two women on the Fox Point Oyster Company. And there's about 5 different companies out there. Yeah, perfect. Stonefish just put an oyster stout last week, made from Great Bay oysters.
Those oysters are always the best oysters anywhere.
Well, a lot of it, I don't take it out of the cage, or they're just natural, but if you have a license, you can just pick them up and take them away.
Right.
I got
My
my
father
phone.
used to go there all the time, Tom, and around the island out there.
Yeah, well, it's been anyways,
Lot
just
of
out there,
oysters,
he
yeah.
gets them.
I'm not an oyster lover, but he loved them.
I don't need it, I got 4 dozen one day, I gave them away.
We got plenty of razor clams.
You gotta find, there's a lot of shells, they're hard to find, the clams.
One away, one way the road. Plenty
of them
there, yeah.
They're supposed to be good to eat, I don't know.
Yeah, all I have to do is go out there and walk in your bare feet, you know. You find them fast, right, Brad?
Yeah.
But at low tide, you'll see them spitting. Yeah. So,
Oh, yeah. Was there a lot of high shoe crabs over there this year?
yes, in fact, believe it or not, we saw a female and a male connected, 2 days ago.
Still?
Is that right? We
Uh,
thought it was
With
awfully
the weather, the
Awfully
way the
bizarre.
weather's been this year, nothing would surprise me, because it's one of those odd years.
Yeah.
You know?
They did come in May, but late May.
Yeah.
Usually the second week of May.
Yeah.
I think the Great Bay Discovery Center has a tank with a couple on it, and there's this one male year round, he's just hooked on, probably trying, I don't know, maybe.
On a leash.
Just forgot to let go or something, I don't know.
No, I know they got all the federal and state permits to put the water line across the bay, but,
That's what I'm going on for.
is the wildlife gonna have any, cause they were making all kinds of noise about the eelgrass, but.
They put the gas line across.
Yeah,
What
exactly.
was it, gas, what was it?
Power line.
Power line
Eversource.
across. Yeah, I watched some surveying out there 3 years ago, maybe.
Yeah, well, that water line's supposed to start, I think, in November.
Yeah.
Is it, oh, they done now?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say they couldn't do it in the winter, they can't do it in the summer. They have to do it.
All set, 6:15.
When we put the wall up again at Fox Point, they couldn't do it during the summer, they had it right. All right, well, we'll start it anyway. If we can't answer, we'll
Right
bring it
on.
back.
Yeah.
We'll-
Yes,
we'll
yes,
blame-
Becky.
We'll blame Becky if we can't answer it.
Who's gonna take the lead?
You know, I'm just a newbie, but.
You got a piece of paper,
I got it in front of me.
Your piece of paper, you can talk, okay,
Alright.
go for it.
Well, what we did, we tried to keep the bottom line the same, which we did. General supplies, we upped to 1,400, we were running low, and I guess Brian should jump in if anything.
Yeah, we upped that to 1,400 because we're just reallocating. And the reason why we're reallocating is supplies is supplies. And the ice rink has been pulled out of whatever we can pull it out of. We're putting the ice rink, $1,000 is what our annual expense is on the ice rink, and we're putting that in the supplies.
Okay.
So to reduce that, we cut the voucher program basically in half,
Yeah.
and took general maintenance, a few $100 out of that. And that's about the whole thing. I guess there was an email back and forth about why we had some of the program broken up. One was into salaries, I think,
Yeah.
wages, and I guess IRS wise, that's whatever, bookkeeping wise, that's the way to do it. But if you total them all up, I think we went, I have my notes, no, my notes are home. I think that after running to the math, based on tuition returns, it was $700 for a resident and $1,000 for tuition kids to the school.
Right.
I think the whole summer program out of pocket, we took all numbers, was like $2,600. You know,
Okay.
a lot. So
It's less than we
the
thought,
revenue's
right?
almost carrying the program.
Yeah.
Less than we thought, right?
Right.
We had 40 individuals and
That's
two of them were tuition ones.
Yeah.
So we charge $1,000
Yeah.
for the tuition.
Right.
And $750.
Yeah, that's, I can remember when that big, matter of fact, Laura mentioned last week, there's so many that we divided up the library into two age groups to keep them
Right.
closer together, and that
I
worked.
wouldn't think that the parents would have complained too much with this COVID, they had some place for the kids to go do something.
No, I mean, when the Y was running it, they do some field trips, although 40 kids on a bus is pretty jammed up. And,
Yeah.
and I think the Y standard is one counselor per, I think it's 10 or 12 or
10, I
14.
think 10 kids, yeah.
10, we had one for 10. Trying to run it ourselves, I wasn't involved with it, but it was pretty stressful. And I don't know if you wanna combining with the warrant article we got there. Years ago, we had a rec director.
Right.
Bob, remember, his son was involved when we had Roseanne, my son was. A lot of the family members now were kids when we had the rec program. And when she was part-time, but she brought in a lot of other programs, it's something that's working very hard to do. We did another big in Amesbury, that big sliding hill. We did a field trip out there, they used to have ski trips. But so, the town had a 12-passenger van in those days, and we used to drive, we can't do that anymore. So I mean, there are more things we brought in, and I think if we get the warrant item for a rec director, I think that may offset some of the program costs too.
You think 10,000 is enough? I mean, seriously, if you put the
Right.
time that Martha and Ella
I
put
know.
into it this
Right.
year,
I
they
understand.
took a hell of a lot of time out of the
Yeah.
operation of the town.
I wasn't
Right.
involved with that, but that's what I was told, you had to do a lot of interviews and put a lot of your time in.
Yeah, and you
Getting
know, it's
that
a
set
daily
up.
problem.
Yeah, no,
What you need.
We had a 2-hour meeting on this one, and we talked about this at length, especially with what it would take and how much time that rec director would be around. It would just be a 3-month stint mostly, or just about, but mostly part-time. And most of it would be administrative, scheduling, and really making sure that we didn't offload any of this extra work onto the town. Because it was stressful on you guys, it was stressful, and we lost board members because of it as well.
Oh, I believe that.
It was awful.
I believe it.
So, but the warrant articles too is also a safety net too. It's really a good safety net, because our goal still is to try to get the YMCA back. They're used to this, they know how to handle this,
Get tip of pressure.
That's what they do.
Yeah.
And it makes sense, and we all, at least on the rec committee, this is a very important item, the summer program for the residents of the town. So much that in a pinch, we would take money from Septemberfest or something to make it happen if we didn't have enough money to make it go through. It's that important to the residents. So this warrant article is a nice safety net to say either we get lucky or we get that rec director and really take advantage of making sure there's some accountability.
And the record, just, I think I heard you say, or somebody say, but just for the summer program.
No, that would be probably 90%, 85% of the person's job would be.
How much?
80, probably, I don't know, 80%.
Oh, okay, no,
I would say 85 to 90% of the
Right.
job
Yeah,
would be the
that's
summer.
right.
Yeah, I mean, there'd also be if there was money left to help out with Septemberfest, which is a ton of work.
So we discussed using this person also, because a lot of these events happen every year, and we kind of reinvent the wheel every year.
Right.
The hope was initially also to get this person to start formalizing some SOPs and some planning documents to put on the shelf.
Right.
So that might take a little more time initially, but once that's established, then, we can gauge the level of effort that's required for that position, going forward.
Well, I thought maybe 10,000 was not enough, but.
Well, we talked about that.
Well, if the selectmen are agreeable to this and want to suggest a higher amount, by all means.
Well,
You're very bad,
And
man, right?
to be honest with you, we are trying to be as conscientious as possible.
yeah.
So it was
to the
basically
bottom.
full-time for 10 weeks in the summer. We envision, hopefully,
make them full-time.
hopefully a student from UNH or something,
Or maybe teachers off of the summer.
Or teachers.
I'm looking at the employment situation now, nobody can get anybody to work at $20 an hour, so,
I got a finance question though, if I could. We weren't sure, we kicked it back and forth. Would or could a rec director be hired as a contractor, or would they have to be an employee? If you don't know, I don't know why I
Is there any reason why they can't be a contractor? They have to be employed?
Yeah, I mean, a contractor has to meet all of those, USDOL rules. They have to hang a shingle, they have, so, and I can get those to you, I wanna say 20 rules.
It's just a checklist of what makes a contractor versus an employee.
Thank you.
Yeah, because I was working one time online as a contractor, and
Well, it's a
a
good.
lawyer came in who knows finance and said, no, they're employees. See, if you were in a contract, we'd have to worry about FICA, and which is costly.
If you set a schedule for them, then I think
Yeah, but I guess it would be no, but it was just something I was trying to, plug a string at to see it will save a little money.
Because it would be ideal to have a contractor, just for the simplicity's sake. But, it's something, if someone's hanging a shingle, well, maybe we can show them how to hang a shingle.
Really hammer nails, right?
Well, the only thing it would save us would be the cost of the FICA, which percent of that, 7.5%?
0.0765.
7, for the both
To
of
be
them?
exact.
Yeah. So that would be the only difference, it would, to us financially, but if you can't do it, we could, and I wasn't sure.
Oh, I'm all set, thank you.
You wanna talk about the other warrant for the capital reserve, or? Brian's, he's a field. Anyway, it's just adding money to our capital reserve.
Yeah, and I pretty much, it's at least in history, most of this money most of it is used for large scale maintenance, not like maintenance that we can handle on a yearly budget, but something like prior, every 3 years, we would do the courts. Now, doing the courts every 3 years, the cost is around, 10, 11, 12,000. But it's so much better than having to create a new court, if we just keep it maintained. And we'd like to use that out of the capital reserve fund so that we don't put that in our annual budget. And one other area that would be our baseball field. It's kind of been left alone for too long, and that takes it takes a little effort. We used to do it yearly. We spent, I think it was, back in the 11, 12 years that I was part of this, the rec committee before, our cost was around $3 grand a year or so, or just $2,some $100 a year.
Does it went to school?
Yep, but they would come out and cut it and level it. So, you know how a baseball field gets rutted?
Oh, yeah.
And then it becomes,
It settles.
right, and then it becomes kind of, so having that, we just thought it was not only aesthetically, but also a safety type thing. You're not leaving something that's continually getting worse, and now you've got ruts that are bold.
That was planned to be done, I think 3 years ago, when I was on rec, and, I think it was 3. And the only bid we got was above our budget, so we didn't do it. The money was tight anyway, so. And then the tennis courts did come along and have to be done. What I'd like to do, get your permission when it's time, Eric went to, and I walked that tennis court a few years ago, and he's got some good ideas to how that could be periphery, whatever, made safer, or made so there's less wear and tear and cracking on it. So, he doesn't quite agree at all with the guy who designed it, but he's got, so sometime I'd like to maybe get Eric again in the spring.
Discuss it at the time, yeah.
Okay.
I'd be agreeable to that too. The new one's gonna cost us, to replace that, we got so lucky back in 2005 when we put that in. We got so lucky. We got that put in for $75,000 because we said, that's all we have. We have $75,000, take it or leave it.
Yeah.
And that was in a time where we could do that.
Yeah.
And the nearest bid next to it was like 95,000. So I can't imagine what it would cost now.
There's a permanent drain system on it that no one can find. I found it once, but nobody knows it exists, but it's out there.
Now, how often do you replace the liner in the hockey?
Every year.
Every year?
That's part of the $1,000 budget. Most of the $1,000 budget is the liner. The liner with shipping is like $750, $800 or something like that.
It'd be cheaper to do it that way.
Yeah, which I want to bring up to everybody, and I brought it up to rec committee as well, and I want more and more people to know about this. When we're done with that, it's still a useful piece of material, if anyone needs it. It breaks my heart that, because we can't use it again as a liner. You just don't take that risk. Because you put it out there for a second year, you got a hole, you got a problem.
Yeah.
So it takes forever to find it, then you have to tape it and hope to God that it stays. But from anybody else's point of view, you've got a piece of material that was basically will sheet rain or anything that is 60 by 100 feet. It's a big piece of material, and we've just thrown it to the trash because
that's too bad. Somebody could use that as a boat cover.
We posted.
it's exactly what you can. It's shrink liner is what it is.
Yeah,
Basically the same
I
stuff.
cut that in pieces a few years ago, just to get rid of it.
Yeah,
Put it up,
that's a
put it all
shame.
in dumpsters,
Ain't that a shame, huh?
dumped a few knives.
But
We've only had, like, the last few years, 1 year that we've had somebody that has taken it. And then we've had a couple residents take pieces, but
so, it's gonna be several months before that's available, but if, in anyone's day in crossing of passing by and just comes up with something, mention it, and have them contact any one of us, and we would be happy to have it repurposed rather than just filling up our trash bin, so.
Does anyone ever use it 2 years in a row?
No, some people do at home use.
I'm suggesting a donation.
Yeah, this is exactly what we're doing, absolutely.
So you fill up the dumpsters and wait to dispose of it or give it
What
away?
are the dimensions of it?
60 by 100.
60 by 100.
Yeah,
It's a big canvas.
it's huge.
Yeah, I got a piece
And heavy.
I envision some guy trying to work on his boat all so long, having that thing set up so it keeps the sandblasting area all in one place.
Completely, absolutely.
That's a hell of an idea.
Yeah.
Anyway, thank you.
Any other questions?
Bill.
Anything else?
All set?
do you talk about the refund transition ones? since I came in.
What's that?
Oh, yes, we did, we talked about, how we move money from,
Yeah.
into supplies and what.
Yeah.
Yes.
We covered quite a bit there.
Sorry.
No, no problem, okay, well, we adjourn,
Would you adjourn, Mr. Chairman?
please, Michael.
I second that.
6:30, we adjourn,
Thank you.
thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Here's the rec department.
You're not getting cold.
Yes.
Oh, I had one that didn't do the job.
I'll give you one